Hi, good afternoon. December 1st, 2024. I'm going to be talking about some cultural issues today, family issues. Um, it's interesting because it came up while I was getting my hair cut on yesterday. And my hairdresser just happened to bring it up, and it became kind of the next lady next to us who was sitting there in another chair started talking about it with us. But basically, my hairdresser has twin nieces. I think they're nieces, and not nephews, but I think they're nieces. And she was saying on Thanksgiving, she was very happy that she didn't that the twins did not show up at the Thanksgiving dinner that she went to. So she's with her family, but the twins weren't there, and I guess her sibling wasn't there. So she was very happy because she said she loves them, but they're, as she put it, monsters. Well, the reason why they were monsters is because she felt like her sister or sister-in-law, I can't remember. I think it might have been sister-in-law. She says, all she has to do is give it a little swat on the butt, and that'll calm them down. They're 2 years old, and they'll get it. And I said, yes, today discipline of children is much different than when I was a child and how I raised my children. And, when I was growing up, if my sister and I acted up in a store, like a grocery store or a restaurant or although I've never felt the need to do that at a restaurant, but out there in public somewhere, a store or whatever, grocery store, my mother would just take us outside and we would have to wait in the car, because in the 70s you could sit in your car and wait for your mother to come out of the grocery store. We didn't have this worry over kidnappers or anything like that, and dying of heat stroke in the car, because we had the windows rolled down and it wasn't a big deal. But we would not be allowed in a public place if we could not behave ourselves. And there were probably a handful of times that we were spanked in that same combination of both my mother and my father. And, it wasn't a huge deal, but it did. When I was spanked, it was for a good reason. And so I'm thinking about all these people today, and I worry because I watch these kids who don't, especially at department stores, like Walmart or Target or something. And I didn't see it recently, but I saw it, maybe 10 years ago or so. It seemed that it was like 10, 15 years ago. I'd see this a lot, where kids would be at the checkout, would go crazy with the, they were tempted by the snacks there and the candy bars and everything, and they would be asking for it and screaming and crying. And I was just thinking to myself, would you get your kid under control? I would never allow that to happen with my child. What they do is they just give the child the candy to quiet them down. And I'm thinking, well, they're just going to keep doing this every time because they get rewarded. They know what's going to happen every time they do this. They're going to get what they want. It doesn't really teach them anything about, you don't need this. You need to get yourself together. Don't act up in public. Nobody wants to see that. So it's not just about yourself. It's about the people around you, being respectful to them. Only once did I have this happen with my older son. And we were at the BX because I grew up in a military family and then I married military. And so he was in the, I don't think he was even in the back. I think he was walking with me because I think he was like 4 or so, 3 or 4. And he was started to whine and complain about something, a toy he wanted or something. And I didn't have anything in my hand, so it wasn't anything to go through the line of the register for. So I took him out. I said, "Come on, we're going home." I took him out, took him to the bathroom, swatted his pull-up butt, and the pull-ups that you would wear underneath before you learn to. He was late on that. He had some other issues, but anyway, he's a high-functioning autistic as well, which wasn't really known by then. But he never made any sound except that one time, and I told him, "You can't go in and you can't do that because that's not appropriate." So we went home, and he got the message. He said he remembered that, and he thought, "Gee, I shouldn't have done that. I really upset Mom," is what he thought. And that turned out okay. I mean, didn't do it again. So it's not like you have to do this all the time. My mom used to yank on, pull my ear, and that really did it for me. So anytime she would reach for it, I'd be like, okay, I won't do anything. And so that's what my hairdresser shared with me, how she was feeling about it. Now, she's young. She's probably in her mid-20s. But she had the same view that I had about how your child should act in public, how you should discipline them. And I thought that was quite interesting that, her background is her mom and her mom is Greek, her aunt's Greek, so she has that whole Greek thing going on, is just like me, because my mom's from Greece. Anyway, I caught a post in the Orthodox Women's group on Facebook again, where they're discussing kind of the same thing. It's called Sunday School Etiquette Lessons. She says, "I'm a public school teacher, and I have found that children have become absolutely feral." So she's complaining that they had to do life skill class. Parents aren't teaching them any of this, it seems, which is really sad. So this is what she was saying. She was saying that, discussing manners. She said it's not just public school. She said homeschool. It's the same thing. They don't know how to behave in social settings, public. I think maybe at this point it might also be an issue with tech, internet, especially phones, iPhones, smartphones, all these digital devices where, everything is through a computer. So they talk to their friends and the texting, and it's all that abbreviated stuff. And so they lose the ability to communicate in person, to face-to-face with people is less as it was in my era, and even in my older son's era. Another thing I know is that I saw a couple days ago on X was somebody had posted something like, what would you tell a kid today what to expect if they were transported to the 1970s? And a lot of people said, "Oh, well, you don't have any phones, no smartphones, no iPhones, no computers, you played outside all day, and What I put in there is no coddling. You have very, very little coddling at that time compared to the helicopter parents, I think, that came in around probably this was the 1990s. So I think it's important that we keep up this discipline of our kids, because I was thinking to myself, if that mother can't discipline and get control of their child who's out of control, what at like 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, what are they going to do when they're teenagers and they're as tall as you, maybe bigger than you? What kind of respect are they going to have for their mother and father? What kind of, what place is what does that put the parent in if that's going on? How are they going to take care of that issue? I'd be afraid to know, afraid to see what would happen there. So I think it's important that we, I'm all for more face-to-face time. I know I'm on the computer here. It kind of seems ironic, seems kind of hypocritical, but I do talk to my sons regularly in person because they're right in the house. And I don't know. What do you feel? Do you have the same feelings on how to discipline a child in public, or before you go in public, what they need to do? What are your thoughts on this issue of kids not being able to know what they're doing in public, or they act up, and how would you deal with that? How have you dealt with it? If your kids are already grown, or if your kids are still small, what do you do about that? Whether you're a mother or a father, how do you deal with that? So, if you have any comments, please put them below this video. If you like my content, please follow my channel and like my videos. Until next time, we'll see you later.